He was such a great mentor to me, and I took every class that he offered while I was at Amarillo College. He would create new ones, and I was like, well, I have to take that because he was so great at what he did, and he really did get me on the right path for what I wanted to do. Obviously, it worked out really well.
Dr. Matney was good at finding the place that you belong. He was good at finding a square hole for you to fit into. And I remember the big poster that was behind his desk that had the big mass comm tree. With each leaf was some sort of thing you could do in that field.
Paul Matney, you gave me a C, but I deserved it. But you also gave me the tools to work for A's the rest of my life. And I mean that. He did. I was never a great student. I really wasn't. But he was one of the people that if you go back and if you look for a teacher that made an impact, Paul Matney makes an impact.
If you came in saying, I want to be on the radio, Matney might say, wait a minute, maybe there are other things you can do. Try your hand with the camera. Because I wound up working as a videographer at Channel 10 for 3 years before I got into radio. I didn't see that coming. It was a total Matney thing, you know, and it was great.
I went to register for classes. I had the folks that were kind of helping me decide, and they're like, okay, well, if you're going to major in mass communications, you really need to take some classes under Dr. Matney. He's really, really good, and he's really going to instruct you. He's hard, but you're going to learn some stuff under him. So, Paul, yes, you were hard, but I've been doing this for 36 years, so I guess I learned something, right?
I think Paul is really good at helping a student look at their career like this. Paul, you remember this? He did this to me a lot. This is an open-ended, don't look at things this way, look at them this way, with ultimate possibilities available to you in this career field.
One of the great things about Paul Matney is he is part of what I would call Amarillo College's work ethic. The students that come from Amarillo College, and I've managed them, I've worked alongside them, I've even instructed them. There's a work ethic that is at a core of that program. It's never even really said, well, here's your work ethic, here it is. It just exists. And I think part of that exists because of Paul Matney's influence and the great teachers at Amarillo College. So there's a work ethic. You know, if you're here doing this, are you also working on the side in your field that you're currently pursuing? And it's a great atmosphere across the board.
I wouldn't be sitting right here if it hadn't been for Paul.
There was an Easter vacation that he came back, and we'd taken down a wall. It turns out we needed a production room, and there were two tiny little rooms with the wall dividing them, and we couldn't find him to ask. So we just took down the wall, and we had a small production room about the size of a phone booth, but I understand later Paul got some grief about it, about the missing wall. So sorry about that.
I'm sure Paul always knew it was going to be a little bit of a long chat if you shut the door behind you and you start crying.
As far as the teacher, he was always good. His tests were tough, and the only time we got a walk was during the birth of his children. Had it not been for Sandy insisting that he was there, we'd have probably had class that day.
Paul Matney, you know, started off knowing him as a teacher. Then I knew him as an advisor. Then I knew him as a co-worker from the time I worked over at KACB TV and FM. And then just know him as friend and family. Every time that Paul came to KGNC FM, we always joked how everyone here in the building was his family, because most of us went through the Amarillo College program. So we're one big, happy, dysfunctional family.
Paul was great at that, smoothing out the rough spots, making it possible for you to stay, and he just wanted you to get through it and finish your education, do well, and make the Gilbin folks proud, make everybody proud. Get out there and work.
I've never seen anybody that's a big ball of fire as Paul is. The internal energy. I'm convinced he can be three places at once. We're just not aware of how he does it.
I thought it was something special that he was a person that was actually in the business, so he was teaching from a business standpoint, as opposed to somebody that was teaching us out of a book. So I said, you know, he actually knows what he's talking about, and not some other teacher that says, you know, here's a book, and that's broadcasting.
Well, I think a lot of people here in Amarillo and actually across the nation probably owe a big debt of gratitude to Dr. Matney, because he's trained a lot of people who are working in media today, and you know, he's just helped a lot of people.
He makes a point to connect. He'll see you, he'll come, and he'll connect, and he'll have a conversation with you. He's very real, and I think that's part of his impact and part of his connection that he has with the students. He's going to be missed.
I had him for mass media survey, and I remember, gosh, I hope I get an A in this. I hope it's an easy class, because I knew him from being on TV, from being a meteorologist and all that. So I thought, oh, he's not going to make it too tough. I was wrong.
Now that he's retiring, I did go ahead and make contact with him and said, you know, if you need a job or something, you need to come up here and play music. I've Sunday afternoons 3 to 6 open, and he said as long as he could play the Mills Brothers and the Ink Spots, that he was good to go. So we're looking forward to it. He can have his own headphones.